Hey guys, I'm the Depressed Engineer, and today I want to talk about a Google search that I did recently. Yeah, I was in the bathroom on my cell phone, and I kind of started doing more research on more engineers who are also disappointed in their work, and kind of getting some more information for all the things I've talked about in the past, just to make sure I'm not the only one out here. Alright, so when I was on my phone, it was a little bit different, but I'm on my desktop right now. But I'm gonna Google search. So I think I reached a breaking point where I typed in, I hate engineering, and then said engineering job, because I don't want to say I hate engineering school or anything. So I Google searched engineering job. And one of the first things that comes up on here is, quit that engineering job you hate, here's why. And I honestly probably could do a whole frickin' blog series or vlog series on just this Google search alone, but the one that I originally was there first and piqued my interest was Why Engineers Are Unhappy at Work it's from the Ocotech blog. Oh, I get it, because it's supposed to be... No, wait, that doesn't make sense. Whatever. Anyways, so I'll put the link down below for you guys. But I thought this article was really interesting just because it pretty much lined up with everything I've been saying to people and the way I've felt. And let me make sure. Okay, that's fine. Anyways, let me get back to the screen. So yeah, I'm gonna try to not read the whole thing, but there's a lot of this it's not even an article, it's a blog entry, but you know, take it for what it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start reading some of this, and well, let's see what happens. Many engineers don't like their jobs. I don't know which way to put that. Many engineers don't like their jobs. You can see evidence of this in online forums, as well as the results of this informal EE Times poll, which I'm not gonna click, well... Alright, I'll click on it, why not? EE Times, engineers not generally happy at work. Okay, so this just goes to show you, like, they just did a poll, whatever. In any case, which found engineers are 4 times less likely than the average American to be completely satisfied with their jobs. So why are engineers so unhappy at work? And of course, if you go check out my other videos, I list some reasons, and I'm sure more will come, but of course, everyone has their unique reasons. However, one issue that comes up often is that the daily life of an engineer doesn't meet the expectations. Students go into engineering wanting to solve problems and change the world, but when they get a job, they find that reality doesn't look anything like what they'd imagined. So again, I've talked about this before, and other channels have talked about it as well. When you go into school, you're solving problems, you're analyzing things, you're doing lab reports, going into CAD, doing math, you know, doing all these actually really interesting and fun things. And then when you get to the real world, you find that all you're doing is working in Microsoft Office. You don't really get to even touch electronics ever, unless you're one of the lucky few who actually do get to do that. But overall, the job is just really boring. There's nothing to really be passionate about. There's hardly any ever sort of analysis whatsoever, and if there is some sort of analysis, it's usually common sense. And I know that this is definitely more prevalent in defense contracting, which I'll talk about later on. Maybe not in this video, probably in another video. But in defense contracting, when you're working with the government and everything, things go really slowly, and they have certain rules and regulations for everything. And it's not anything you would expect it to be based on what you've seen in school. And again, it's a double-edged sword. So on one edge, you get we've saturated the market with engineers, especially electrical engineering is super saturated. And now jobs are harder to find, everything is super competitive, yada yada. And then the other side of the sword is that when we do need engineers, we do actually need more engineers, it's going to be the boy who cried wolf. Because then we'll say, oh, no, we actually really do need a lot more engineers. And people go, oh, okay, well, whatever. I don't want to get into engineering because of all the job market stuff I've heard. And I mean, I guess that can't really happen if we're constantly being lied to. If you always say that there's a need for engineers and everybody just keeps believing it. So maybe it won't be like Boy Who Cried Wolf, because even today, there's not really a big need for engineers in the United States. But that's all they keep trying to push is STEM jobs and scientist jobs and engineering jobs, and it's flooding the market. So, anyways, let's move on. Here are some examples culled from various online discussions. For more, simply Google, which this is what I did. For more, simply Google engineers unhappy at work or I hate being an engineer. You'll find plenty more where these came from. And I just find it so funny that there's all these blogs and all these things, and there's hardly anyone ever talking about this stuff in YouTube. There's Engineered Truth, and that's about it. And the other videos that I've seen about engineering have been like, they've been more sarcastic about this. I don't know why I said that strangely, but they almost have a sense of irony where they make a video saying, I hate engineering, and then you watch the video and they're like, I'm just kidding, I don't hate engineering. It's because sometimes you just hate the things that you do and it gets to you, but you just gotta keep pressing on and keep doing your thing. And it's like, well, but we're not really doing engineering, so what am I supposed to push for? Anyways, that's a whole other story. So let's move on to, in this post, Ryan Nabozniak? Let's say that, Ryan Nabozniak. I don't think that's how you say that, but whatever, Nabozniak probably. An application consulting engineer at Occotech, okay, so the guy he works for this website, describes how he became an engineer to be like his heroes, Q from James Bond, Chief Engineer Scott from Star Trek, and his father. But soon after college, I took my first job, and reality hit. The bulk of my job was drafting and designing drawings. I was completely divorced from what I was drafting or designing. We spent our days scrutinizing sheet numbers and references to make sure they were consistent across drawings. Infighting between disciplines was a daily occurrence. And I mean, I can add my 2 cents to that just with when you're designing drawings and drafting them, it really doesn't take much, especially with software these days. It's just connect this block with this line. And there's a few more nuances to it than that, and it can be a little more complicated, but that's just stuff they don't even really teach you that much in school. And the reality is, schools really can't keep up with what's actually going on in the real world. So they end up teaching you these outdated courses, and sometimes they'll go over newer stuff, like electro-optics went over fiber optics, and we learned a few things about newer processes and newer silicon devices, but other than that, they don't actually teach you the skills needed to draft something or design something. But in any case, let's see. There's a lot of quotes in this article. So, I don't know if I want to read all of them, but I think this one's a good one. The author of this thread got into engineering because of a love of science and a desire to work for the space program. After working a few different jobs, which is kind of what I'm doing actually, the author was considering a career change. I have fallen completely out of love with engineering. Nothing about it excites me anymore. I don't find the work interesting and don't see any options or career moves within engineering that would excite me. Many of the subjects I studied in school were fascinating, but the actual day-to-day work of engineering is very dull to me. Lines up perfectly with what I've said before. They've got even more quotes from recent grads. Oh, then perfect. Working as an electrical engineer for a consulting firm. I just realized the other day that I hate my job. I am unsure if I hate the job because I am just starting it, if it is because I'm still making the difficult transition out of college, or if this truly is not the field for me. I just feel like this is such a cookie-cutter job. Sure, there is a lot of difficult thought that goes into managing one of these projects, but at the end of the day, I'm just telling the construction guys where to put lights, outlets, and panels. And I actually really like that because I almost got hired by a consulting firm at one point, and just from the one interview I had, they were describing to me, oh, well, yeah, we do this for data centers and blah, blah, blah. And what it boiled down to was, well, we take a drawing and we mark down on the drawing, okay, this is where this light's gonna go. And we're gonna make sure this light fixture goes here. And then we put an outlet here and a light switch there. And I'm sitting there going, what the? This has nothing to do with engineering. This is literally just something anybody could do. And I guess I shouldn't say anybody, but anybody with some sort of common sense could easily be like, okay, the light's going to spread out this way. So I mean, how hard is it to put a light up in the ceiling? It's like, okay, I put it up in the center of the ceiling. Good. This is what he's describing is more management as opposed to engineering, where you basically go out onto the field and tell them, hey, we need to put this over here, this over here. And you go out onto the construction site just to make sure that it matches with what you drew up. So moving on, somebody, Michael McRae of the American Society for Mechanical Engineers, he looked into this problem, and he identified two major contributing factors. Engineers are being tasked with projects that require technical skills without also providing an environment offering collaboration, problem solving, and other perks that satisfy the engineering mind and soul. 2. Many companies don't provide upward mobility or career development tracks for technical engineers. So this lines up perfectly with what I've said in my previous videos. Most companies aren't actually looking for someone with technical skills. Yes, there is some technical skills you're going to need to do at least the basic function of a job, but that's just it. As long as you know the basics of engineering, they really just want somebody with the social skills and the management skills to eventually become an engineering manager or project manager, program manager, whatever you want to call it. They want somebody who can be upper management and communicate to people. So you take a technical task and you translate it over for management so that it's easy for them to understand what you're talking about. But yeah, so they don't provide upward mobility for technical engineers. That's what I'm saying with the salary and everything. The upfront salary for an engineer is fairly high, but it stagnates really fast. And if you just want to be a technical engineer, you might get to 90,000 in a decade. And it's different between other companies and where you live, obviously. But in general, from this research I've done, it kind of plateaus at like 90K for engineers. Sometimes 80, and every once in a while 100. But you have to be pretty much a senior principal engineer to make 100,000. But that just goes to show you that if you become an engineer and then you start going more into management, you're probably going to make a lot more money. But the problem is, if you go into engineering, it's actually, especially electrical engineering, harder to get a job because it's so saturated with engineers. He says that we're being tasked with projects that require technical skills without also providing an environment offering collaboration, problem solving, and other perks. I don't know how much I actually agree with that one. It's the whole collaborating thing. When I was in school, I didn't really collaborate with people very often. It wasn't until probably the end of college where I started collaborating with more of my peers. And collaborating really came down to, okay, what's the answer to this? Because what the hell? And then we'd all find somebody who's been through that class before, and they would usually have a cheat sheet or a solutions manual, or, hey, here's a copy of the exam I took in this class. You're like, oh, okay. And it made it so much easier to know what to study for. Because the one thing in engineering is they don't give you study sheets. Like there were maybe one or two professors that gave me a cheat sheet or a study sheet that said, hey, these topics are going to be on the exam. And instead he says, we're going to go over some stuff. And then I've had professors who say, we're going to go over chapter 10 on the exam. And then you take the exam and it's like chapter 12 or something you've never even learned. And you're sitting there going, what? No, I don't even know the answer to any of this. And then he's got to curve the grade and everything. It's awful. So if that's the kind of collaboration you want to talk about, then maybe. But problem solving, yes, because we're getting tasked with technical, quote unquote, technical skills, or tasks that require the skills. But there's not a whole lot of problem solving. It's a lot of, oh, here's the answer to what I'm looking for. Copy it, paste it into a spreadsheet. Hey, look, I did my task. So I mostly agree with what he's saying here. This is actually a pretty short blog, so I guess I might as well just go ahead and finish this off. These factors further illustrate the lack of alignment between why people go into engineering to take on challenges and solve problems, and what they find when they get there. Example, days spent hunting for inconsistencies on drawings. Yeah, pretty much. Or just days not doing much of anything. Obviously, not all engineers are unhappy. Yes, I try to make that clear when I make these videos, is that I don't speak for everybody, but there is a group of people out there working as an engineer with broken hopes and dreams, because you go into engineering thinking, I'm going to invent stuff, I'm going to design things, I'm going to help people. And then you get there and it's like, well, I guess I got to make another spreadsheet for this task again. And then you start thinking about crying into your desk, and then you realize you haven't cried in 5 years, and you actually don't remember how to cry, and everything just kind of starts going downhill more and more. Each passing day becomes a blur of the same day over and over again, and weekends just feel shorter and shorter, and you're not sure what to do with your life. Is that just me? Anyways, studies have found that graduate engineers in the UK have very high job satisfaction. Boy, I wish I was in the UK then. And that almost 9 in 10 engineers in the RF microwave industry would recommend the career to a young person. Huh. But the fact remains that many people who become engineers with aspirations of making the world a better place for those hopes. Oh, find those hopes dashed. But I just talked about broken hopes and dreams by the drudgery of the day-to-day work. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be this way. With the right environments, processes, and tools, engineers can spend their days doing the important work they dream of. If you haven't already, I can't read. If you haven't already, read the rest of Ryan Bosniak's article to discover what turned things around for him. I've actually clicked on this link before. In fact, let me do it right now. So you click on that link and going, oh, okay, that sounds really cool. And then he talks about, man, I really wanted to be an engineer, and things just kind of went downhill. And I believe it's this link at the bottom. Engineering Base is the system to help you break out of the endless nightmare that you find yourself in. Intrigued? So you click on this, and it goes to some bullshit management software or something that he created. So he's literally just ending up selling up a product, which, go figure, it's the internet. So that's how they make money off most of these blogs is, hey, look, I'm selling a thing. But they hide it. So they're like, oh, I feel where you're coming from, man. I was depressed too, and my engineering job got worse, but click on this link to see how it can get better. And they're like, here's another blog, 10 ways to blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, look, here's my product. Come buy it. It's only $500. You're like, dude, fuck you, asshole. Anyways, but it's funny because they say, with the right environments, processes, and tools, engineers can spend their days doing the important work they dream of. And obviously his solution is to buy his software. But, I mean, the honest answer, like, how do you implement that? Like, how do you make the job less miserable? I mean, part of it is make sure you're not working at a toxic work environment, because obviously you want your coworkers to be on your side, and you want to be on their side and work for a team you actually care about. But there's also a part where I've worked at jobs where they can get fairly technical, but they don't give you, because there's one guy who's super good at being an engineer, and everybody uses him as a source for everything. So instead of trying to train everybody up to be that guy's level, they just give all the work to that one guy, and then they can't delegate all the technical tasks to everybody else. So everybody else ends up doing paperwork. And it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep doing this and maybe I'll work my way up the chain. You don't. I've worked at companies for 2 years, and you do the minimal stuff and all the, you know, grunt work for as long as you can, and things don't really change. Like, you don't get more responsibility, at least at the place I've been at. You don't really get more responsibility. They just give you more paperwork to fill out, and then some days they run out of paperwork, so you got nothing to do. It's just, it's aggravating and it's annoying. And it's slow. It's so slow. And it's just, like, most days I just don't even see why I would go into work, because it's like, you know, I've already done my work for the week. It took me 5 hours to complete it. Can I just not go in? But I don't know. It's a very delicate situation. It's very hard to just come up with an answer on the spot. But yeah, I don't see how... I mean, obviously the way to fix it would be to actually put forth the effort to do more research and actually improve on things, and, you know, create an environment where there are more hands-on environments. But, you know, not every job is a hands-on environment kind of place. So, I mean, somebody has to do the consulting engineering jobs, but at the same time, I don't know, does it really... I would almost think it would take more of an engineering technician than it would for an actual engineer to do some of the stuff that engineers do right now. And the biggest problem with that is this job market's so saturated. I mean, you can only make engineers do so many things, and you spread out all your tasks so far that there's just not a whole lot of heavy-hitting stuff for everybody. So, in any case, let me guys know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you want me to go do a video series or something on each one of these articles for, like, Google searching "I hate engineering" or "I hate engineering jobs" or "I hate engineering school." I could just keep doing that. I kind of ended up reading the whole blog, which I didn't mean to do, but, you know, what are you gonna do? It was a pretty short blog, so. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I appreciate your support as always, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.